Hello and welcome to Oddcast, a YouTube video.
And a podcast? Are we still podcast?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Okay, alright.
However you want to digest the information we're about to give you, it's your choice. We like to give you options, so you can follow us on any platform that has Anchor FM podcasts, or you can watch us here. And who wouldn't want to watch us? I mean, look at this guy. And by this guy, I mean me. And I'm saying that because if you're listening to us on the podcast, what I just said makes no sense. But hey, you're on a YouTube channel for Nerds by Nerds. I'm a nerd, and I'm Joe.
I'm CN.
And I'm Paige.
She's not under the table. There's nobody there.
Voice in her.
Ooh.
All right, well, we either have a poltergeist or a voice in our head, which is going to share the madness with you as well. So, we're all
mad here.
It's true. So, we're going to discuss with you what we've already been discussing with ourselves, which is Gotham Knights.
Yeah.
The new Batman game coming out in 2021.
Except it's not a Batman game, because he's dead, quote unquote. Probably not actually dead, because no superhero is ever actually dead. Thanks, Superman.
Well,
It's true. Nobody dies and stays dead.
I think it's funny that they actually change it and it says apparent death.
You know why? Because once the internet knows that you're lying, like it's a bluff, then it's like, okay, well...
Yeah. It was like, I saw the article said apparent Batman / Bruce Wayne's apparent death. I was like, oh, apparent now. Okay.
Yeah, they changed.
No superhero is ever actually dead. You can't name a single one who died and did not come back. Because then they'll remake things, they'll redo it. Especially fucking DC has so many fucking dimensions. Like, Jesus. No, they're not dead.
That's a challenge. I'm going to do some research to see if I can actually find a I can't think of one right now, but I'm sure there's some superhero that they just killed off. And
I mean, Anakin?
Anakin's not a superhero. You shut your mouth.
Skywalker?
Yeah.
No.
No.
He's not a superhero form.
I mean, Disney...
Technically, he's a Force ghost, so he's not dead,
still not dead.
So hush your face.
All right, guys, so that which is dead may never die, is apparently
There
what I'm
you
being
go.
told.
There you go.
Just so everybody's aware and caught up to speed. Thanks, Luke.
Anyway.
Nobody's ever really gone.
So
Sidestep,
forgotten.
moving on.
So what? Gotham Knight is pretty much we're following Red Hood,
Robin, Nightwing,
Wait, which Robin?
Tim Drake.
Tim Drake's Robin. Yes. Nightwing and Batgirl.
Yep.
So
Barbara Gordon, Batgirl.
yeah, that's out of her wheelchair now.
Yeah, she's no
Well,
longer...
no, she's. I thought when she was Oracle, she's in the wheelchair, and being Batgirl, she's not in the wheelchair. Barbara Gordon is technically two separate
You are
hero
correct.
incarnations.
She is both characters.
Yes, and in this one, she is Batgirl, not Oracle.
But she was Oracle because her wheelchair is photoed in the trailer.
In one of the trailers, you see her wheelchair off to the side when she's standing.
But we don't know what that's alluding to and which version of her story it is.
Yeah.
So you have to take all of it with a grain of salt. Like, we don't fucking know.
And if there's anything that we do know about this game, it's that they have done a great job of hiding all of their information and dispersing it as they see fit. So just because you saw it in the trailer doesn't mean anything.
Well, they're playing to the data miners because obviously we're all still trying to shelter in places, or most of us are trying to shelter in places best we can. So what the fuck else we got to do?
It's true.
Very good point. I mean, the problem is that I've said it before. When I first got wind of the game, I'm like, okay, they're stealing aspects of the Arkham games.
Which
They're the same people who made the Arkham games. So
made
of course.
one of the four Arkham games.
Yeah.
The three Arkham games that are the best received are the Rocksteady ones, and of course they're doing Justice League Kill the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and
they started.
Yeah, they did two. They did Arkham. Is it just Arkham Asylum?
No, they did Arkham City, Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, and then Arkham Knight.
Yes.
And then the studio who's doing Gotham Knights did Arkham Origins.
So they did aspects. But they look like they took all that technology and put it in it, and it looks good. I'm not saying it doesn't look good.
The game looks beautiful.
It looks really good. I'm just wondering how it's going to play out.
And
it's not the same though either. You can't just say they stole what was there because it's an open world. Mm-hmm. There are multiple characters you can play play as. It's potentially a games as a service game. All of those things were not anything that the Arkham games were. So it's not the same.
Well, let me ask you this, though. Now I'm thinking about it. What constitutes a sandbox game?
So technically it would be an open world sandbox game, but not really. So sandbox typically represents you build stuff in it. You could build or destroy stuff in it, and it stays built or stays destroyed. I could be wrong. You can question my gamer cred. You can look it up. But I'm pretty sure that's what makes a sandbox game. Because when I think of sandbox games...
sounds legit.
Well, but they considered Infamous 2 to be an open world sandbox game, and in that, once something was destroyed, it never really stayed destroyed.
Because I also consider the Arkham games a open world sandbox. Because you can go across the different boroughs, but you're stuck in that city.
Well, honestly, I think that that Sandbox was the original open world, and then it became more open as technology increased to allow for it to be larger. So I think that they are synonyms, but one preceded the other. That is my opinion. I'm totally willing to be wrong.
No, that actually makes, at least to me, it makes more sense.
So, going back to the gameplay elements. So we know that it's going to be one or two player online co-op, which I really dig because I love the idea of playing games with my friends. I'm totally down for that. 2 seems like a weird number, especially considering that there are 4 playable characters at the start. So I think that that's kind of a fun aspect, but it does bring into questions like, when we start the game, are we choosing one character and playing that all the way through? Does it mean that there's 4 different variations of the game that we get to go through? If I'm playing with either of you online, is that going to affect or influence the story? So does that really mean that there's way more than 4 potential endings because every mission has a different replay value to it because obviously you want to see all the partnerships and stuff that you can have?
But then it depends, are certain missions only available for certain characters? Are the outcomes of said missions, do they carry on through the story, or is there only ever one outcome? We don't know how in-depth and how complex this game is yet. We have no idea.
Yeah, because it also could be, too, where you're playing as Batgirl at first, and then there was all right, I made it to a rendezvous point. Robin, how are you? And then it cuts to you as Robin.
Injustice style. Which is what I was thinking. That's how Mortal Kombat does it. For anybody who's never played a Mortal Kombat game, that's how they do it now. Obviously not back in the old arcade ones. They did not have that storytelling mechanism, but in the new ones they have it. Even Smash Brothers does that.
Yeah.
So you start this one, so you have a linear story path, but you transport between them.
Go in and out, multiple characters.
But does that mean that but it still brings into question the open world. So there's a lot of questions. There's a lot more questions than there are answers. The 2 things that we know for sure, Mr. Freeze is a villain in it. He's been heavily shown as part of their gameplay trailer, but they didn't show how he gets defeated, which is smart. Don't show the ending to the mission.
Right.
And then, of course, we have the Court of Owls. Which is a theory.
There's no of course.
Yeah, if it's the big... who the big bad is.
And, of course, there's... well, not of course, but there's ominous tones to Jim Gordon's death. I think that's an interesting route to go, if he's even truly dead, or if he just vanished. Because they don't trust the Bat family since Jim's death, and Bruce no longer trusts them, and there's an owl pictured on the badge.
So I'm thinking
You say Bruce no longer trusts him if Bruce is dead.
Bruce warned the others not to trust the Gotham City Police Department.
Yeah, there's this little video thing that we know that he says to them when he's quote-unquote dead.
Yeah.
Now, it's possible that, Jim Gordon and Batman are 2 peas in a pod. So if Batman's not dead, then Jim Gordon probably isn't dead either. He probably sent them off or sent them away.
There's options. There's things that could have happened. We don't know. There's a lot that we don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of fascinating and pretty cool. It builds up your hype train a little bit because it's well, what are we going to do?
That was the whole point of them putting out this trailer so people could talk about it. I guess you're welcome.
Which it is definitely being talked about. Now
we all need something to talk about right now. It's fine.
The combat art looks really good. They have superpower, or not superpower.
Yeah, they have like power moves. They have team up moves.
I'm not gonna lie. When I saw Robin teleport, I was like, "What?"
And then they explained it. It's Justice League technology, which means
a satellite.
The games as a service thing brings into the question of monetization, which is really what is on the tip of everybody's tongues, because it's a monetization. Am I paying for a full game? Am I going to get add-ons to this? Then I have to buy, and so on and so forth. And
you should anticipate that in every game now. So
yeah, I mean, I don't mind there being extra stuff that I would pay to play. Like, we're getting a Ghost of Tsushima update soon, which will allow us to all play together. I think that's awesome. And in all honesty, if Sony had been like, hey, it's going to be $20, I'd have been like, take my money.
Yeah, here.
But instead, they're like, you get it for free. And I'm like, sweet, I'll keep my money and I'll play your game. So, I mean, it's a weird balancing act of like free stuff versus not free stuff. Final Fantasy VII had free download stuff.
Yep.
But they could add pay stuff and people would buy it.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts had an entire expansion thing. And there's obviously a difference between DLC, which greatly influences the game, and little cosmetic things that you can buy. And I think that there's going to be a little bit of both in this case. Mortal Kombat, which teamed with Warner Brothers, had payable downloadable content. Arkham Knight had payable downloadable content.
Yeah.
I think that there will be characters that you can unlock in this game, and I've already got my 4 picks for who I would put in it as pay-to-play characters, and that's Catwoman,
okay,
Damian Wayne,
okay,
Harley Quinn, because she's
Harley Quinn.
Yeah, she's Harley Quinn, and she is
super popular.
Yeah,
right now.
She's the go-to character for DC. If you wanna inject a little bit of something into it, Harley's your girl. And then of course, if it turns out that he's not dead, Batman. As DLC, if he's not already an unlocked character by the end of the game.
I do think it's funny, speaking of Batman being dead, I do think it's funny that a lot of people did think that this was a sequel to the Arkham games, especially since, if those of you who haven't played it yet, after Arkham Knight, Batman basically...
Excuse me, spoilers!
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah, but
You didn't say the word spoiler alert, man, come on!
My bad.
You gonna piss people off.
So it could potentially follow the ending of the Arkham sequence of games.
Yes.
Potentially.
But it's not.
I don't think that it is,
not.
because why would you waste the opportunity to bring the Joker back in? And I stand by. I mean, you're not going to get Mark Hamill back, which is a shame, but Alan Tudyk is a really good Joker, and I would love to see him in more stuff. So please, by all means, put him in as the Joker in this Batman game. I'm totally on board. You can even bring in Kaylee Cuoco to reprise her role as Harley Quinn. I'm totally down.
Kukio.
Whatever her name is. Her.
Yeah,
Her.
You know what? And there's a whole bunch of villains that I would love to see in the game that you don't see in stuff. Well, I want to see him in a movie, but Phantasm.
Okay.
I'd
be down for that.
I mean...
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Well, and there's the possibility of expanding it more because Star Labs is there and the Justice League technology. So eventually, if this game was successful, it has the ability to expand into more stuff, which I guess is the DLC add-on content that you were referring to. But it has the potential to be another Arkham, as in it's a continuation.
Even down to you could do you could branch it out. You start with the Gotham Knights, but then you could easily go into Teen Titans or Young Justice, following the same.
Now, Teen Titans, I'd be more into.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's gonna be very interesting. I can't wait till more information comes out about it. Right now, they seem to they're not really closed-lipped, but it's
they're doing the right thing. You feed the audience.
It's called hype.
Yeah, you feed the audience enough to keep them going, and you don't oversaturate the market with your stuff.
Yeah.
Especially when you know that in the upcoming months, what you've got right now is going to get buried. It's going to get buried by all the hype that's going to come with Cyberpunk 2077. Mm-hmm. It's going to come...
And the new consoles.
All the new console stuff. There's just so much coming. So to put out, a trickle of information, you're hooked up to...
a little morsel.
Yeah, you're hooked up to an IV, and they're just dripping in a little bit of DC, Gotham stuff. Like, just when you think you're out of the woods, here's some Batman. Oh, snap, that's right, there is a Batman game coming. And they haven't announced, like, a pre-order, and I'm pretty sure if you made something cool to go with the pre-order, I mean, I'm probably going to pre-order
Honestly,
anyways.
I think DC right now is doing their best to get their product out there. You got the movies.
They're steering
you got
the ship.
the Nolan cut. the Snyder cut.
Snyder cut.
You got the game.
Well, I could take or leave those movies. Like, nah. But the games and the animated stuff is where it's at.
But every time I turn on television or watching a video, there's always something DC that's popping out. You got the new Harley Quinn movie, the Suicide Squad movie coming out. There's so much DC right now. So much fucking DC right now.
I mean, it's their time to shine.
Oh,
And they have a new backer, and I think the new backer makes all the difference. Because now that we know that all the DC content that isn't comics is shifting to HBO Max, it means that I feel pretty confident AT&T is heading towards purchasing Warner Brothers from Time.
Jesus, that's terrifying to think about.
Well, it's part of the content wars. So, I mean, all
right, business daddy.
It sounds like something sexual, but she's actually quoting John Oliver.
I got you, business daddy.
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't watched this, she did not just refer to me as business daddy. That was not what just happened.
No.
It sounded that way. It seemed that way in context, but that's not what happened.
No, that is not what happened. Oh, shit.
When quoting another person goes horribly, horribly awry.
Oh my god.
So, that's what our take is on the game, and our take is we don't really have a take yet because we don't have enough information. We're looking for more. But we do have hopes and dreams and a little bit of stardust that you can sprinkle on things. So we want to hear from you. So if you're listening to us for the first time on Anchor, if you're listening to us for the first time as a podcast, we hope that you continue to listen. Or if you've soaked in the manliness of this content, which is not very high in saturation, then we hope that you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can click the little bell to get notifications. And then you'll be told when there's new stuff, new content. And then you can be like, maybe later. Maybe I won't watch it at all. Or you could be like me and watch it anyways while you do other stuff.
Like sitting on a toilet. That's where most people do the YouTubings on a toilet.
I do not do YouTubing on the toilet.
Jeez.
I do.
I love how much optimism you have for this channel, guys. I just want to say.
Hey, I'm not the one who said it's in the shitter. He did.
I didn't say it was in the shit. I said you can watch it.
You
while
totally
you're
just
on the
said,
shitter.
yeah, okay. Well, thanks for joining Oddcast, a YouTube channel. YouTube video.
Later, guys.
Good luck pooping.